Atlas is not a comet. Forget the ice, the dust, the textbooks, the tired explanations repeated by trembling scientists on television. What we are seeing in the night sky is not a piece of frozen rock drifting through our solar system. It is a prison. For centuries, maybe for millions of years, this object has carried with it a dark purpose: containment. Its green glow is not natural sublimation. It is the stress of a cage beginning to fracture. And now, as Atlas draws closer to the sun, its walls are cracking, and something inside is moving. The first images were dismissed as ordinary cometary behavior, jets of gas venting from beneath the surface, typical as ice turns to vapor under solar heat. But look closer, and the illusion collapses. The fissures are too symmetrical. The cracks run in perfect parallel lines, converging at precise angles as if cut by design, not by chaos. You cannot mistake them for random fractures. They look like bars, like the reinforced edges of a cell. And within these cracks, astronomers have begun to notice fluctuations, patterns of light that pulse irregularly, as if something within is testing its restraints. Independent observatories have reported faint tremors in their readings, vibrations coming not from the surrounding space, but from within the body of Atlas itself. It feels alive, one amateur observer from Argentina wrote on his forum post before his account mysteriously vanished. He claimed he saw not jets of vapor, but a rhythmic expansion, as if the surface of the object was inhaling and exhaling. He described the glow as a green breath. Within hours, the post was deleted, archived only by a few who screenshotted it, fueling whispers of a cover-up. Then came the images from the European Southern Observatory. In them, the cracks on Atlas's surface appear to widen in sequence, not all at once, like pressure being applied from inside. Scientists brushed it off as coincidence, but conspiracy channels began circulating the footage, with chilling captions, "It's knocking." Some even enhanced the frames, producing a grotesque illusion of movement within, as though a shadow shifted behind translucent walls. And here lies the question no one dares to speak aloud. If this is a prison, what does it hold? What kind of entity requires an interstellar cage launched across galaxies and locked in orbit with our sun as the ultimate key? Legends across cultures whisper of beings too dangerous to be killed, only to be bound. Could it be that Atlas is not here by chance, but because the lock is failing, and the prisoner inside has stirred after ages of silence? Every day it nears the sun, the tension increases. Astronomers note sudden outbursts of gas that do not align with solar heating cycles. The glow changes color, faintly but noticeably. And most disturbing, fragments of the crust appear to break away not from melting ice, but from pressure within, like concrete splintering under the fist of something trapped below. If that is true, then humanity is not watching a comet pass harmlessly by. We are watching a cell door bending under the weight of its prisoner. What lies inside Atlas is beyond speculation. Some imagine a cosmic predator, a creature of plasma and shadow. Others believe it is an ancient weapon, locked away for fear it would be used again. A smaller but louder group insists it is not a monster at all, but a god, banished, chained, and now returning to reclaim its throne. Whichever theory is closest to the truth, one thing is undeniable: Atlas is not silent. It is speaking with every crack, every fracture, every pulse of unnatural light. And as it approaches perihelion, the moment of closest contact with the sun, the cracks grow wider, the lock weakens, the prisoner shifts. Humanity stares upward in fascination and terror, not realizing that we may not be waiting for a visitor at all. We may be waiting for an escape. The first whispers of a pulse came not from official agencies, but from leaked datasets that surfaced briefly on obscure astronomy forums before being scrubbed from the web. The files, marked with scrambled metadata, allegedly contained readings from a solar monitoring satellite positioned near Lagrange Point 2. Buried in the graphs of electromagnetic flux was a pattern, one that repeated with disturbing regularity, a rise and fall every 42 minutes, consistent over multiple observation windows. At first, the pattern was dismissed as instrumental noise, a glitch caused by cosmic rays interfering with sensors. But then came the corroborations. A university observatory in Chile reported identical vibrations. An amateur radio astronomer in Canada claimed his dish picked up faint, low-frequency hums synchronized with the same cycle. Suddenly, the glitch was no longer random, it was global. Something inside 3I Atlas was sending out rhythmic bursts, faint but undeniable, like a metronome echoing through the void. The timing was the detail that terrified researchers. 42 minutes, over and over, without deviation. Nature is chaotic. Natural outgassing produces irregularities, bursts, and lulls. But this was precise, mechanical or biological. One anonymous astrophysicist, speaking under the alias Dr. R, compared the signal to the human heart. "What you're seeing," he said in a recorded interview, circulated across encrypted channels, "is the pulse of something alive. It's beating against its cage." His voice trembled as he insisted the rhythm was too exact to be geological. The reaction online was immediate. Memes labeled it the heart of darkness. Viral videos showed sped-up graphs pulsing like an electrocardiogram, accompanied by ominous music. Conspiracy podcasts speculated that Atlas was not just a prison, but a sarcophagus, housing a creature in suspended animation. One particularly popular thread declared the 42-minute cycle was not a heartbeat, but a countdown, a ticking signal preparing for release. Official channels rushed to discredit the leaks. NASA released a carefully worded statement, claiming no instruments had detected unusual emissions from 3I Atlas, and that data inconsistencies were the result of solar-wind interference. Yet the denial only stoked the fire. Viewers compared the agency's calm tone with the fear in the leaked interview and concluded the cover-up was real. If there was nothing to hide, why erase the forum posts? Why silence the voices who brought the data forward? Then came the most chilling twist. A group of amateur astronomers in Eastern Europe, pooling their data from backyard telescopes, claimed to have reconstructed the cycle visually. By stitching together long exposure images of Atlas's coma, they revealed faint expansions and contractions of the glowing cloud, as though the object itself were breathing in rhythm with the pulse. The video montage spread across social media like wildfire. "This isn't a comet," one commentator whispered over the footage. "It's alive inside." The fury splintered into factions. Some insisted the heartbeat belonged to a biological organism, an ancient cosmic leviathan sealed away by a forgotten race. Others argued it was the vibration of containment technology straining under pressure, a failing mechanism leaking energy. But in either case, the conclusion was identical. The prison was not inert. It was active, and its prisoner was stirring. Whistleblowers began to emerge. A supposed engineer from the European Space Agency, speaking in distorted voice on a late-night broadcast, claimed the signal was confirmed internally weeks ago. 42 minutes, he said. You can set your watch by it, and it's growing stronger. He alleged that internal projections showed the amplitude increasing as Atlas approached the sun, the pulse feeding on solar energy like fuel. His last words before the connection cut out were chilling. It wants out. And so humanity watches the data with dread. Every 42 minutes, somewhere in the void, a silent drumbeat echoes from within 3I Atlas. It could be the hum of machinery, the tremor of a fractured shell, or the heartbeat of something that has slept for ages. Whatever it is not natural. and with every cycle, the cage grows weaker, the rhythm louder, as if announcing to the universe, the prisoner is waking. The idea that Atlas is a natural comet collapses under one terrifying possibility. It was built, not born in the chaos of cosmic dust, not sculpted by gravity and ice, but assembled with intent. A prison designed by hands or minds far older and far more powerful than our own. The cracks, the heartbeat, the impossible symmetry are not mistakes of nature. They are signatures of alien architects. Legends from ancient cultures have always spoken of gods locked away, of monsters banished to the stars. What if those myths were faint echoes of the same story? That somewhere in the depths of time, a civilization discovered a being so destructive, so unstoppable, that they could not kill it. They could only contain it, and so they forged a vessel of unimaginable strength, a comet-sized cage sealed with alien technology and cast into interstellar exile. That vessel is 3I Atlas. Consider the design. Astronomers marvel at the smoothness of its trajectory, the strange way it absorbs and re-emits sunlight. These are not the behaviors of chaotic rock and ice. They are functions, structures. Some engineers looking at the leaked thermal scans noticed the surface heat distribution did not match the expected pattern of sublimating ice. Instead, the warmth was even, as if distributed deliberately across a shell, like a cooling system preventing the interior from overheating. They described it as heat shielding, the kind of detail you'd expect from a spacecraft, not a comet. The most chilling detail comes from the shape of the fissures. Recent high-resolution images show the cracks are not random. They branch into angular intersections, repeating at exact ratios that match no natural geological process, but mirror fractal patterns seen in engineered materials. A report supposedly circulated within a classified European research group compared these fissures to reinforced joints, the kind found in containment vessels. In other words, the cage is showing its design. It was never meant to look natural. It was meant to hold. But what could require such a prison? Theories flood the darkest corners of the internet. Some claim it is a predator that feeds on stars, locked away to prevent it from consuming galaxies. Others whisper it is a weapon, an intelligent machine designed to destroy suns, sealed away when its makers realized what they had unleashed. And then there are those who believe it is a god of war, an entity of plasma and shadow, exiled by its own worshippers when its hunger became too great. A disturbing coincidence is often raised. The orbit of Atlas intersects not just with the sun, but with specific alignments recorded in ancient stone calendars. The Mayans, the Egyptians, the Vedic texts all marked times when the Eater of Fire would pass close to Earth's star. How could they know unless fragments of knowledge from those alien architects seeped into human history long ago? Some researchers even argue the sun itself is part of the lock, a power source and a barrier designed to keep the prisoner dormant. Its heartbeat grows louder now because the sun's radiation is feeding it, unlocking what was sealed. If Atlas was built, then we are not watching a comet, we are watching a machine. A machine whose builders are gone, whose purpose we can only guess, and whose prisoner may be older than the solar system itself. Every crack in its surface, every pulse of energy, every unnatural pattern is not random chance, but the sound of alien craftsmanship breaking down after eons. And if its creators once saved the galaxy by locking away what was inside, what happens when their prison finally fails? The architects are long gone, their secrets are lost, their safeguards have crumbled, and Earth, by chance or by fate, is standing directly in the shadow of their mistake. Pieces are falling off 3I Atlas, and not in the way that comets normally shed their icy skins. With each approach toward the sun, observers have reported strange, uniform fragments breaking away, like panels detaching from a structure, rather than chaotic debris being blown by heat. These aren't random outbursts of gas, they are calculated, patterned ruptures. The fractures radiate outward in lines too precise to ignore, as if the very surface of Atlas was engineered with fault points designed to split under pressure. In the last month, telescopes in Japan, Chile, and South Africa all reported identical anomalies. Luminous shards detaching at even intervals, scattering into space in perfect arcs. Some observers compared them to pieces of armor falling off. High-resolution composites even showed the breaks running parallel, forming geometric corridors instead of jagged tears. It is no longer a comet crumbling. It is a cage being pried apart from within. An alleged report from the fictional Solaris Research Array leaked into private astronomy networks just days ago. It claimed that the fissures align symmetrically around Atlas's equator, positioned almost like seams on a pressure vessel. Engineers who reviewed the data called the pattern intentional architecture. One unnamed source went further. It looks like the bars of a prison cracking in sequence. Someone or something is pushing against them. The timing of these breakages raises further suspicion. They don't happen when Atlas is nearest to the sun, when natural outgassing would be at its peak. Instead, they occur in waves, synchronized eerily with the 42-minute pulse already identified by whistleblowers. First the heartbeat, then the cracking, as though the prisoner inside is striking the walls, testing the lock. Social media has already given these events a name: the rattling. Viral edits show sped-up time-lapse footage of the fragments detaching in sync with a deep, ominous drumbeat. Hashtags like prison comet and cage breaking trend across platforms, sparking both panic and fascination. Memes spread quickly, but beneath the humor, there's a chilling undercurrent. Viewers feel they are watching a countdown in real time. Meanwhile, a so-called leaked video from a ground-based infrared array, circulating in encrypted groups, allegedly shows heat blooming along the cracks moments before rupture, almost like glowing red veins. Skeptics say it's fake, a digital overlay. Believers insist it proves something inside is pressing outward, heating the walls with bursts of unimaginable energy. These aren't cracks, one commentator writes. They're stress fractures, and stress comes from pressure. Governments and space agencies, of course, continue to downplay everything. Official statements describe the breakage as expected shedding of volatile materials. Yet the denials ring hollow, especially when independent observatories mysteriously retract their findings hours after publishing. Why pull back reports unless there's something dangerous they're not allowed to say? Why classify simple observations of falling fragments? There is another, darker layer to the weakening. Some astrophysicists have suggested the fragments themselves aren't just ice and dust. Spectroscopic analysis allegedly detected heavy elements unusual for comets, titanium, even traces of tungsten. These materials are used on Earth for structural reinforcement. What are they doing in a comet's skin? Unless, of course, it isn't a comet at all. Unless those shards are the remains of an artificial shell, engineered to last eons, now failing under the force of the prisoner within. Picture it: a cage built across light years, designed to survive the void, beginning to splinter as its captive awakens. Every new fracture is not just damage, it's progress, a countdown written in cracks across the surface of Atlas. With each fragment lost, the bars weaken, the lock groans, and the ancient architect's work comes closer to collapse. The question no one can answer, and the one every whisper dares to ask, is simple. When the last piece falls, when the final seam gives way, what exactly will step out from inside? Behind the polished smiles of press conferences and the sterile reassurances of official statements, fear is spreading like wildfire through the halls of power. The public is told that Atlas is a comet, harmless, predictable, nothing to worry about. But behind closed doors, documents stamped top secret circulate, filled with language so bleak that even seasoned officials struggle to read them without shuddering. The first whispers of classified briefings leaked from Washington. Anonymous insiders claim that in late-night sessions, NASA officials met not with astronomers, but with defense analysts and military strategists. The topic wasn't orbital mechanics. It wasn't data analysis. It was contingency planning. How do you respond if something breaks free from inside Atlas? One transcript, reportedly smuggled out by a whistleblower, contained a chilling admission. We don't know what happens if it escapes. We have no model for this. We have no defense. Across the Atlantic, a meeting at the European Space Operations Center was allegedly interrupted when security personnel removed two scientists mid-presentation. Their offense? Showing infrared data that depicted energy spikes radiating outward from within the comet, synchronized with the 42-minute pulse already known to insiders. Hours later, the slides vanished from digital servers. The only evidence they existed came from a single photograph, blurry but damning, showing the words, "Containment integrity compromised." The panic is not just scientific, it is military. Rumors suggest that classified branches of the Pentagon and NATO are quietly running stellar defense scenarios, simulations designed to predict outcomes if Atlas were not a comet but a vessel of unknown intent. A name has allegedly been attached to these scenarios: Project Black Cage. Its mission? To determine if Earth can survive a cosmic prison break. Early simulations reportedly concluded with catastrophic failure in every model. One former contractor, speaking through a voice filter on a late-night podcast, described overhearing senior officials debating the use of nuclear warheads in space, not to destroy Atlas, but to push it off course, to keep it from reaching perihelion. The chilling part of his story: the plan was abandoned almost immediately. The mass of Atlas was too great, the energy needed far beyond anything humanity could muster. As he put it, if that thing wants to move, we can't stop it. We're ants trying to shove a mountain. Governments continue to deny everything, but strange inconsistencies slip through. Telescopes that once provided open access to raw data now lock their feeds behind security walls. Observatories cancel live streams without explanation. Satellite networks report technical difficulties during key observation windows. And yet, somehow, amateur astronomers who do manage to capture new images find themselves contacted by unknown officials, urging them to delete their footage. The public may laugh at conspiracy theories, but the silence of those who know the truth speaks louder than reassurance. Every cover-up, every missing file, every whistleblower silenced adds weight to the unthinkable. That world leaders are not worried about whether Atlas is dangerous. They're terrified because they know it is. If Atlas is truly a prison, then governments have only two choices: admit that humanity stands on the brink of something beyond its comprehension, or hide the truth and pray the locks hold a little longer. And judging by the fear leaking through the cracks of classified reports, those locks are failing faster than anyone dares to say aloud. Across the world, while scientists scramble and governments whisper in sealed rooms, another movement has taken shape, loud, fanatical, and convinced that the prisoner inside Atlas is not a threat, but a savior. To them, the cracks in its surface, the rhythm of its pulse, and the growing energy spikes are not signs of danger. They are signs of prophecy fulfilled. They believe Atlas carries a god, and that humanity must open its arms when the cage finally breaks. On social media platforms, entire communities have adopted the name, the Children of the Prisoner. Their logos are simple: an image of a barred gate breaking apart, light pouring through. Their hashtags trend alongside official news, spreading the message that the entity inside Atlas is divine. In countless posts, they describe the being not as a monster, but as the one buried in light, a celestial father returning to reclaim his lost children. Their rhetoric has become increasingly extreme. In forums hidden on the dark web, leaders of these groups argue that attempts to prevent Atlas from opening are an insult to destiny. One post that went viral before being banned read, "Do not fear the cracks, fear the ones who try to weld them shut. The prisoner is not our enemy, it is our creator, exiled by jealous gods. We must welcome its release." Offline, their influence is spreading. In rural towns across South America, believers gather at sunrise to chant toward the east, timing their voices to the rumored 42-minute heartbeat. In Eastern Europe, candlelit vigils are held in forests, where participants raise their hands skyward and whisper, "Break the cage, free the flame." Meanwhile, in the Middle East, some splinter sects have declared Atlas the long-awaited devourer of lies, insisting that when it emerges, false religions and corrupt governments will collapse. The cults are not only spiritual, they are political. Whistleblowers claim government agencies are monitoring these groups closely, fearing that the children of the prisoner could sabotage satellites or observatories to help the awakening. In one shocking incident reported by underground blogs, a research facility in northern India suffered a deliberate power cut during a crucial observation window. No group claimed responsibility, but online forums celebrated with cryptic messages. Another lock silenced. The most disturbing aspect is how persuasive their arguments sound to a population already suspicious of authority. For years, people have doubted official narratives, accused governments of hiding the truth about extraterrestrials, ancient civilizations, and secret technologies. Now, Atlas provides the perfect stage. When officials deny the prison theory, cultists twist it into proof of deception. When cracks appear and fragments break away, they call it miracles. When the heartbeat pulses, they describe it as the song of resurrection. Some of the cult's leaders claim to have received visions. One woman from Brazil, calling herself the Vessel, streams live daily to an audience of tens of thousands. With closed eyes and trembling hands, she claims to translate the prisoner's thoughts directly into speech. She insists that the being is calling Earth its chosen sanctuary, promising salvation for the faithful and ruin for the unbelievers. Her words, often incoherent, are clipped into dramatic edits and circulated like sacred scripture. Even more unsettling are the rumors of planned ritual. Reports suggest that when Atlas reaches perihelion, the children of the prisoner intend to stage mass events, lighting huge pyres, shutting off entire city blocks of electricity, and chanting in unison to help weaken the cage. Some say they will attempt direct radio transmissions to Atlas, broadcasting messages of welcome and devotion, as though the entity inside is already listening. To the rest of the world, they are a curiosity, a fringe cult feeding off fear and mystery. But beneath the surface, they represent something far more dangerous, the idea that humanity might not fight against Atlas at all. Instead, millions may celebrate the release of whatever waits inside, cheering as the final bars of the cage break apart. And so the divide grows. Scientists beg for caution, governments prepare for chaos, but entire populations are ready to kneel when the prisoner arrives. To them, Atlas is not a cage, it is a womb, and what it delivers will not be an escape, but a birth. The countdown has begun. Every astronomer knows the date, the moment of perihelion, when 3I Atlas will swing closest to the Sun, only 1.36 astronomical units away. To the world, it is just another orbital milestone. But to those who have studied the cracks, the heartbeat, the weakening cage, it is a final warning. The Sun is not just a backdrop to this cosmic drama, it is the key. For ages, the lock has held strong, powered by the sun's energy itself. But in mere weeks, the prisoner will stand at the door of its own cell, fueled by the very star meant to keep it dormant. Whistleblowers whisper of projections hidden deep within government archives, models showing that when Atlas passes perihelion, the amplitude of its internal pulses could spike tenfold. One anonymous insider from a fictional agency called the Stellar Containment Bureau allegedly described it as the moment the cage door unhinges. According to these files, every fragment that is already broken off was just rehearsal. The real breach you come when solar radiation ignites whatever is trapped inside. Warnings are beginning to leak, but not through official channels. On obscure forums, images circulate of classified graphs labeled Containment Failure Risk Index. The curve climbs steeply to a red zone, peaking precisely on the date of perihelion. Authorities claim the images are doctored, yet the public sees the fear in their eyes during press briefings. They see the sudden tightening of information, the mysterious loss of telescope data, the rushed denials, and every silence becomes confirmation that something terrible is imminent. Religious cults, instead of retreating, double down. They declare that perihelion will not be a catastrophe, but a holy day, the awakening of a god unjustly chained. Some call it the Great Break, a cosmic rebirth. They prepare vigils and mass gatherings, promising to chant when Atlas kisses the sun, believing their voices will help weaken the last of the bars. In online groups, countdown timers tick down second by second, not to a disaster, but to liberation. Meanwhile, scientists who still cling to reason are divided. Some argue that Atlas will simply disintegrate under solar heat, nothing more than an interstellar snowball melting to gas. Others admit, quietly and off the record, that they can no longer explain the evidence, the symmetry of fissures, the regularity of the pulse, the unnatural composition of fragments. In hushed tones, they confess, "This isn't normal. We don't know what it is, and we're running out of time." The media plays its part. Headlines scream, "Is the prisoner about to escape?" Television pundits laugh nervously, offering sarcastic jokes about space monsters while their eyes betray unease. YouTube channels and podcasts thrive on speculation, some painting Atlas as the end of days, others as the dawn of first contact. One viral video, supposedly showing a leaked audio recording from inside NASA, captures a man's strained voice. "We can't contain it. Not with what we have. All we can do is wait." And so humanity waits. Every day, the comet prison grows brighter in the sky. Every day, the pulse grows stronger. Every day, the cracks widen. Those who look up at Atlas through telescopes describe a strange sensation, like being watched, like the prisoner is aware, pressing its hand against the bars, gazing back through the cracks, waiting for its moment. The final warning is not written in prophecy, nor carved in stone. It is written across the surface of Atlas itself, in fissures glowing faintly green, in fragments scattering like broken chains, in the steady drumbeat of a height that should not exist. The architects are gone. The governments are powerless. The cults are chanting for release. And the rest of humanity? They can only count down the days until perihelion, until the lock shatters, until the prisoner steps free. What happens then? No one knows. But if the cell breaks open, Earth will not be a bystander. It will be in the path.